A lot of people on YouTube or in the real estate industry are saying, what crash?
It's an urban legend that never happened.
Where's this crash? Question to you, is a 16% decline in the median sales price year over year considered a crash? Let us know in the comments below. In May, we were sitting around at a $602,000 median sales price in Ada County, and now we're sitting at $483,000 as of March, which is a 20% drop. Would you consider that a crash? You see, we wanted to look at what some of these agents who are saying the market isn't crashing. In other words, this agent who is saying the market isn't crashing has taken a 60% pay cut so far this year. And let me clarify, this is just based off the buyers they're representing. What if I told you that it's not uncommon for the housing market to hit a stagflationary state before declining again? So if we look at this graph on the median sales price, you can see that there's positive prices, then more declines. So just because we saw an increase in the median sales price doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. In March, our prices dipped again. But this happened even on a national level. Look at this map by RJ Talks. According to the stats from Realtor.com, Sandpoint has had a 22% drop in the sales price. Pocatello, Idaho, has had a drop of 35%. And Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, it has had a 12% drop in the sales price and an 18% increase in inventory year over year. From Land Pro Data has some very interesting stats. In January of 2022, there were 349 building permits pulled and 296 home transfers. In January of 2023, we saw a decrease to 132 building permits pulled, 181 new home transfers. Or in other words, new home transfers have dropped 38% and new builds were down 62% from a year ago. Now, if we look at this line graph where it breaks it down quarter by quarter, the first quarter of 2022, there was 1,824 building permits pulled. Q1 of 2023, we're only at 97%. Around 50% of jobs driven by new construction have been hit locally. And nationally, well, in the month of March, we've seen an 8.8% drop in building permits nationally. According to the experts, anything more than a 15% correction is considered a crash. The real question is, are we going to see a further crash, or are we going to be stuck in the stagflationary market for the next year, 2 years, 3 years? What do you think? Keep in mind, if there's 50% of homes being affected by the building permits slowing down that much, what is that going to do? Remember, we aren't going to start seeing distressed sell properties until there is a reason that somebody is forced to do this. Just the other day, I was sitting in front of a banker and we started just talking how things are going. And he said, I'm not going to buy a house this year. Now this banker's saying he's not buying a house. And I said, why? Last time I met with you, you said you were going to buy 6 months ago. He's like, well, because I look and I see everybody's accounts and I'm seeing how stretched they are. We saw people pull out HELOCs of $250,000 with an interest rate of 3%, but because interest rates have jumped, now they're getting hammered by 9% interest rates because a HELOC most of the time is an adjustable rate mortgage. So they've tapped out their HELOC to go buy RVs, cars, toys, because Idaho is a fun place to go play. And now they are strapped and they're hurting. And so when he sees this, he's saying, I may not even get into the market till 2024. Here's the other crazy thing. He was a banker back in 2005, 2006, before Wells Fargo went under. And he saw what Wells Fargo did. If you guys watch our latest video, we talked about the 40-year mortgage and how we aren't going to know the effects. But just a little insight, they introduced the 40-year mortgage back in 2005. So that delayed the coming recession, the coming collapse, 2 years to 2007. They kept pushing that, kicking the can down the road. Now, is that same thing going to happen here? I don't know. What do you think? You see, we right here are seeing a stagflation. Home prices are going down, then they come back up. And now we're kind of at this stagflation where home affordability is not there. We're seeing unemployment rise. And on top of everything, we're seeing savings dry up. People who maybe sold their house and had a bunch of money or sold and took advantage of that high peak are now starting to lose their savings as inflation is killing everybody. Are we out of this recession yet? Or are we just experiencing, like in this line graph, the little bit of up and down before we see more declines coming? And I don't know. But now let's dive deep into the Boise data, because although RJ Talks map is great, it is missing the peak to trough. He's saying that we've only seen a 16%. But when we use the Boise Regional REALTORS data that pulls from our local MLS, we know that it's actually a 20% drop. The median list price in Ada County is $650,000. The median sales price is $482,000. Almost a $170,000 discrepancy between what people are paying versus what's available on the market. Now, this is a trend I must bring to your attention. In January, our inventory was up 165% year over year. Then in February, that number dropped to only 110% up year over year. And now in March, it's only up 90% year over year. So the year over year increases is getting smaller and smaller. And if the spring inventory doesn't hit the market, the stagflation is going to get real this summer with inventory flatlining. Now the demand has dropped even more than it did last month. You see, last month it was down 40%, and in February demand was down 26%. Demand is still not improving necessarily. In some price points, demand is coming back. Which price points? 450 and under. Some of those homes are still moving quickly. But what's the builder attitude? I want to give you some real live examples that my brokerage has personally experienced. Now, most of our clients that we work with want to get a good deal. And trust me, we want to get them a good deal as well. We've made a couple offers on brand new houses. Only being on the market for about 14 days, we hit them around 11% off the original list price. The builder countered us back at almost 6% off the original list price. Now, another scenario was on a resale home. We offered 7% under the last listed price, and the sellers countered us with 4.5%. To give you an idea of how much these percentages actually are, we're talking about $40,000 to $50,000 off. And why do I bring this up? Well, a couple of things. One, just because a home has only been on the market for a week or two doesn't mean they won't take less. The other thing is, if you want to make an offer on a home, take your time and consider what or how low you should go. There will be instances where you can't offer low. And just to be fair, these other homes did not go under contract because our clients wanted to get a good deal and they didn't want to settle for only a 4 to 7% price reduction. As far as new construction homes go in Ada County, we saw that number drop from 612 new construction homes pending. Now that's down in March to 409 homes. And our inventory had only changed by a 2-unit drop. From February, we had 523, and in March, we had 521. I would normally cheer that the pendings and the solds are being down because that would mean that the demand is slowing down. But again, the spring inventory being delayed, we could end up being stagnant with these overpriced homes on the market and people just not being able to afford what's on the market. And I believe in order for more inventory to come on the market, these local people need to be pinched more and more by expenses. Jobs slowing down or not even coming. Again, this is something we need to watch for in April and May. On top of this, something we have to watch for is how is that Idaho specific 40-year mortgage for purchases that hit our market? What is that going to do to our market? Again, this was rolled out only 3.5 weeks ago, so we haven't even seen the full effect on what that's going to do to our home prices, and buyers' demand. A couple mortgage brokers are telling me that they're trying to roll out a product that is for interest-only payments. To help people get into houses, they're offering these interest-only payments on a 30-year mortgage. And man, what is that going to do to the market?